Good evening. It's 7 p.m. Central European Time, or 1800 Greenwich Mean Time. My name is Liam. I'm a creative writer, and on a bi-weekly basis, I spend about an hour on a Sunday evening reading some of my original work and talking a little bit about the content, which I find relative, interesting, and, if you're lucky, inspiring as well. I'm coming to you from a little town in northern Germany on the Baltic Sea called Eckernförde, and we are already on the Sunday, the 22nd of May, well into spring. It's wonderful. It's warm enough to swim once again. The water's not warm, but it's swimmable, and the trees are laden in leaf. The carniole is bright yellow on the fields, and it's just wonderful emerging again from that long, cold, dark winter. These poetry presentations are dedicated to the cause of peace. In the situation where in Europe we find a war happening, this has led to so much fear in people's hearts and in their lives, disturbing their own deep intrinsic way of experiencing the joyful being of life. And it's my intention for us to understand peace, understand love, so that with that power that we all share with one another across the globe, we make a contribution to changing something which is chaotic and dark and negative, which is crying for a transformation to something uplifting, dynamic, inspiring, and creative. So that's the idea that I bring into your thoughts and bring into your perceptions this evening as you share with me some of the new work which has been written and older work which I would love to share with you. And in the second part of the evening, what I always enjoy immensely, that's actually reading poetry to you. Good evening, everyone. To reading to you from the content of one of these 3 published books. These books are available. You can buy them on Amazon. You just write in my name, Liam Kennedy and New Millennium Poetry, and there you find all of the books. Something great as a reference to have on a bedside table. It's a great book to give someone as a gift, especially oldies and people who have difficulty in reading, because the first 2 books have got something quite unique. You see that little QR code, you scan that code, and you hear me actually reciting this particular poem. So there you have an interactive, dynamic book of poetry, which is extraordinary. I haven't come across anything similar. It was a good idea, and I had a great programmer who was able to help me transform this idea into reality. So yeah, that's just an idea, a great gift for someone, and on Amazon they are available. Good evening, Michael. Lovely to have you present. Jan, all the way from Cape Town, greetings. Yeah, as you can see, No, the hair definitely will stay away for a long time to come, but I'm doing well. Coming Wednesday, I have the third treatment of many, and I'm handling the whole thing incredibly well, and I'm so grateful that I can share that with you. It's not the struggle that I had imagined. So, and this type of work I find very inspiring, uplifting, and it gives me a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and energy, which I love to share. So, after saying that, I'll repeat, whenever we listen to poetry, it's something different to listening to a musical performance or a theatrical performance. It's something where I ask you as a listener to activate your divergent focus. So, divergent focus, of course, just being the opposite of cognitive focus. And it means sitting back, if you like, closing your eyes, shutting off distractions all around you, and taking your awareness, that special power of your own intrinsic self feeling, and latching that on to the sensitivity with which you can listen. As you can understand, my idea here is that what you hear, you're reaching into the ideas, the thoughts, the feelings, the metaphors, the magic of what could be contained within these words that I share with you. That's my intention. So it's not about me, it's really and truly about you as a listener. I'd love it if everyone can take away some small idea, some thought, some inspiration, and carry it into your own lives to enliven and enrich what it is that you do and what it is that you share in the communities that you live in, wherever you might be across the world. To start this evening, I have this manifesto, which I'd like to read, and to give you an idea about the impulse from which and with which I create. And that's where we will start this evening. So, let's go. Beatrice, well done. Thank you. Lovely that you made it. Leonora, yes, all the way from the northern Transvaal, I think. Yeah, wonderful. So nice you've been here. Everyone, welcome. Welcome, welcome. So this is what the poetry is about. My poetry is written to resonate deep within the individual, awakening intrinsic faculties of interest, creativity, and of course, love. Poetry contains within the magic walls of letters and meaning the power to uplift the human spirit, inspire the creative soul, and move the individual from where they are to a more interesting and profound horizon. We live in the age of the new millennium. This is a time for a deeper understanding and comprehension of our human nature. The paradigm has moved forward and moved up from what we have to who we are. This is the new quest of the unconscious mind, which is a shifting tide across the world. The pandemic I personally believe, has accelerated this need for deeper meaning and understanding within societies and nations. And my poetry is a small contribution to support, assist, and inspire the budding new world of soul understanding. So let's begin with that, with one's own awareness. If you realize our thoughts, they come and go, they last. How long does a thought last? A second or longer. A feeling. We have feelings which come and go and come and go. But it's our feeling of joy, the awareness of actually feeling happy. It's exactly the same. It's something which remains with us in its context and in its originality, unchanged through the course of our lives. Being happy is something which is fundamentally human in its nature. One might even say that being human is intrinsic, an expression of happiness. But the lives that we've led and lives that we've lived, that we have been impinged with so much leading us away and taking our attention away from the wakeful awareness of our true humanity. So the poetry that I read and the poetry that I share in some small way will always be moving towards understanding that equation a little bit more deeply, a little bit more clearly, a little bit more profoundly. And with that, I'd like to start with a poem that I wrote yesterday. I'd been out for this walk in the evening around the harbour, and the harbour was full of tall ships, and Macefield came to mind. I must go down to the sea again, to the lonely sea in the sky, and there were these gorgeous, massive masts and rigging. And when I came home before going to sleep at about 10:30 at night, this is the little poem that came to me, and I'd love to share it with you. Good evening, Graham. Happy that you've made it. So, everyone, here we go. And it's called The Sailor. Oh, the sea, the sky, and the deep blue in me. The moving waves across the heavens I see. Let these sails full strain they take. The living wind in me awakes, draws me forward through the splash and the foam. A course is drawn on the charts to home, for it's here I've been with you before, a place of peace, a space called love. Across the threshold from whence we came, we step outside with arms outstretched. The joy of the seagull, high she swept. The call of the whale from deep it cried. It's a magic life, in all alive. The urchins scrabble to its spiral shell. The boom of surf on the shore as well reminds again of my chant this night. The sailor's life is a blessed trick, from the golden dawn to its setting fire, life on the wing till the funeral pyre. From the golden dawn to its setting fire, life on the wing till the funeral pyre. So as it is in all great religions of the world, they occupy themselves with the fact that the life that we have is transient. It has a beginning, it has an end. And it's this deep mystery which each and every one of us, whether we like it or not, are faced with. What is this life actually about? How do we understand the nature of the self and who we are? And it's in the understanding of the mind, the understanding of our own knowledge, that we grow closer to the realities of who we truly are and what it's actually all about. This next little poem is called The Ark, and it's succinct, it's only a couple of lines. But again, it broaches on a similar topic. The ark. You know what an ark is? A vessel for carrying. We have the ark as a biblical story carrying Noah and the animals. But the ark can also be a vessel to carry consciousness and awareness. Be an ark, a vessel to cross the vast ocean of life. On board, take those who also swim with light, calling to the stars and singing to infinity. Songs of joy, memories of a future calling. For the swift journey is best carried on the words, on the wings of words. Each a praise to love, each a lover of life, each a sailor of the soul, on to and towards the shores of our distant tomorrow. So be an ark and take on board your thoughts, your reflections, your ideas, in deepening the understanding of what it is and where it is and who it is and where we will go. Because it comes back to the fact that our lives are short, very, very short. And we want to share what we have with our maximum expression of joy and love, participation, gratitude, and giving. And with that, there's no better place to go to than a poem written from the perspective of a child. And this is the next little poem I'd like to share with you. It's called A Child Once Said. And from the perspective of a child, it's how a child sees the world, not in the way we do, but from a completely different perspective. And if you listen carefully, you'll hear what I mean. A child once said, when going to bed, it's the waving trees that blow the wind and make the breeze. The splash of water on the shore from swimming fish and whales and more. From mermaids gentle who plait their hair, who sing songs sweet in the moonlit air. Of the sailor far on his ship of wood, of a long lost child on the shore she stood, of her heartache when going to bed, of waving trees. To the wind she said, "Please blow Daddy to my bed this night, to sail with him, the silky blue, with Mermaid Song and whale spoon too. Upon my cheek his kiss so light, then shoot the moon in a star-filled sky. Ships sail filled with our dreamy eye. We will sing and laugh and dance till light. Just you and I, my Daddy and me. The waves, the wind, the stars, the sea." So, a little poem. A child once said, when going to bed, it's the waving trees that blow the wind and make the breeze. Good evening, everybody who's there. Nicole, lovely that you could make it. Thank you for your time. I'm thrilled. The next poem, again, is succinct. It's very short, and it's called Contemplation. Contemplation, to contemplate, to think something through, in quiet and in peace and in depth. Contemplation. Invite this partner to stay longer than a night. Contemplation is a sibling who will never leave you, a friend who will ever lead you, a love who will ever need you. It's in meeting contemplation we finally understand how unequivocally connected we have become. So when we contemplate about our own awareness, we contemplate about our own awareness. As I mentioned earlier, divergent focus is something where you lie back and you withdraw your attention and your awareness, and you focus that awareness on your listening. And in that you can magnify the effect of what it is that you hear, because that focus you've consciously moved it to one of your individual senses, the sense of hearing. But if we take this idea a tiny step further and say, where do I go when I take the attention of my awareness and I become aware of my very own being aware? That means inwardly you are in a very deep, quiet place of expanse. Because in being aware of awareness, time is no longer a function. Space is no longer a profile. One becomes spaceless. One becomes universal, and in that we unite in a level of being which connects us all. This is I am the I am. The I, your I, my expression of what I feel is my I, is becoming aware of itself. And in this we recognize something which is universal to our humanity, which interconnects us in our universality. And it's something deeply peaceful and deeply human. And it's a place and an energy which we could also call love. We could give this place in our own being. We could call it the source of love, the source of our deep inner intrinsic peace. Being aware, deep, loving, interconnected being. So that's where this little poem goes to. It says, it's in meeting contemplation we finally understand how unequivocally connected we have become. Just two little poems to go. And then I would love to read your poetry to you. So please start already thinking of a page number between 1 and 250. And I will soon be reading to you. But before we get there, this is a poem where I talk about this idea of awareness and put it into a poetic context. So, deep breath, divergent focus, listen up. And it's called Reveal It. Do we ever reach the end of what we could know? When what there is to know is endless. What truly applies to who we are and could become implies finiteness. When, where, and how awareness or consciousness dilates to accept the moment. Yes, we have all been lied to, used, abused, and disappointed. Those were neighbors, not guests, which jolted the journey. Each a piercing stab at the recognition this life creates, the requirements we are called to transform. Permeate this intrinsic experience with a vibrant vision of an energetic unity. Not unaffected by life, but emotionally liberated from being life's victim. Free in the joyous recognition that home is where the heart flies. Love is where the home lies. Reveal this awareness, awakening the cognition. I'm more than just my perceptions. The I am, is its very own source, as we all are uniquely connected by the energies of our common experience. This joy, this love, this life, interwoven through awareness. So the poem talks about the awareness of self. Even though it's uniquely personal, it's universally real. Everyone shares the same feeling. Thereby, we recognize how interconnected we all are. And for those of you who have experienced the magic of thinking about someone and suddenly your telephone rings, or talking about someone and suddenly being confronted with them, this is a revelation of how this energetic world is interconnected. It's a reality. It's not just a chance. And the more we live with it, the more we become aware of it, and the more we become sensitized to the fact that this is part of our higher and truer nature, so we live more and more within those patterns of creativity, of caring, of gratefulness, of loving. And this and these are qualities which, when we unite them, we will overcome the chaos and the fear of what's happening. The unique source of inner peace and love. So, please, I would be so grateful if everyone on the bottom of your screen, there is a comment bar. And into this comment bar, you can simply type a page number, and I will read to you I will read your poem. And this is what I'm talking about. You will find, and it's been so often the case, that the poem on that particular page number is a poem which in some way reflects a dynamic part of your own soul life at this particular moment in time. So it's something personally revealing, and it can be, it could be. Michael, 23, good one. I don't know why it is. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. I know I've had this with Beatrice, that she's typed numbers in and it hasn't been visible for me. But anyway, Michael, well done. I've definitely got your 23. Nicole, how about you? Can you hear me? Just type in a number on the comment bar at the bottom of the page. Graham, Harvey. Do you have a brother and Anthony Harvey from Fishhook? If you do, send my regards. He's an old school friend of mine. Michael, here we go. It's called Listen. Let's just look at page 23 on this in my other book. Yeah, listen. So I hope you were listening. It's time now to listen up to the one who made the words, a mighty field of richness. From the silence, this now occurs. Listen. The barren stone will crumble. In its debris, the flower will grow, beckoning light with simplicity. From its petals, words will flow. Listen as this listener now becomes a one of words, to lift the letters from the space where silence is but heard. So words, they living find us, in thoughts or image they play, a poetry of pictures found. Listen deep to what they say. It's from this place of peace, inspiration can now stay. Wow. Yeah, for me, to be honest, again and again, it's so exciting to come across these poems which have been written ages ago, and they are out of my repertoire, and it's wonderful to read them again. I find them inspiring and exciting as well. And this one, Michael, is brilliant. It's time now to listen up to the one who made the words. There we are, you see? Again, this poem is taking you towards this inner self-awareness, the awareness of the self being aware of itself. It's that unifying, energetic, peaceful space that we all share, but we need the exercise of actually going there regularly. And life normally is so distracting. That's what I said right at the beginning of the evening, was that the epidemic, the pandemic, had put millions of people into isolation. And what a wonderful thing to be left alone with yourself, to be given the peace and the quiet to communicate with who you really are and not be distracted by a million different things that the world presents us on a day-to-day basis. And here you are, a mighty field of richness. From the silence this now occurs. Listen, the barren stone will crumble. In its debris the flower will grow, beckoning light with simplicity. From its petals words will flow. Isn't that a beautiful metaphor? The stone crumbles, and from that debris the flower emerges, and from the petals words flow into who you are, into who we are. This metaphor of the old in the soul crumbling away, and in that depth it is the very substance from which your creativity emerges. Listen as this listener now becomes the one of words. So there you are, you see, you as an individual listening to yourself become the creative force, becomes the one of words, to lift the letters from that space where silence was once but heard. Unless we go there, unless we connect with who we are, that space in us all remains silent. We have to actually make the conscious effort of going there. It's called, some people call it meditation, call it whatever you want, but it's actually consciously creating that quiet inner space and merging with your own self-awareness. And in that quietude, your consciousness does not disappear. Your consciousness is aware and awake, and you can hear words. You can hear ringing out of that oceanic space something which is pertinent and deep and creative for your own life and your own further development. So words they living find us. In thought or image they play, a poetry of pictures found. Listen deep to what they say. Love it. So there we are. It's 20 minutes to 8. I'm going to now read a poem for those of you who still are listening, and I'm going to choose it intuitively as I do with all of the rest. And here we are. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for choosing that one. Yeah, great. A little poem and it's called Beauty. 108. Ah, Beatrice, there you are. 123. In the nick of time. Beatrice, 123. So, let me read this little poem. Michael, listen up. It's, funnily enough, it's pertinent to you as well. It's called Beauty. Always succumb to the power of your own beauty. It will lift your insights from the mundane to the multiplicity of experience. Take you from the simple to the ecstatic. Beauty is inherent. Beauty is intrinsic. Beauty is ingrained. Pulsing willfully just beneath the thin skin of your awakening. There you are, pulsing willfully beneath the thin skin of your awakening. And your awakening is this, it's the idea that everyone has and carries within them the seeds to develop, to grow, and to move more towards their own intrinsic being. Beauty. Beatrice, your poem, 123. It's called Falling in Love. A love poem. To fall in love with the love you've fallen in love with. This is not madness, nor a soliloquy. It's me, the universe, and God, in quiet conversation. Each sharing the quintessential idea of now, in a way which requires reflection, creativity, and selflessness. Let's do this in union, singing songs and spinning helplessly under the stars, each becoming the other, as we recognize love in love with love. So, to fall in love with the love you've fallen in love with, it's not madness nor a soliloquy. It's me, the universe, and God in quiet conversation. So there you are. Me, the universe, and God in quiet conversation. In a way which requires reflection, creativity, and selflessness. This is the deep inner communication that I've been talking about. Isn't that lovely? Let's do this in union, singing songs and spinning helplessly under the stars, each becoming the other. Each becoming the other. You and me, the universe and God. As we recognize love in love with love. And what a beautiful way to end the evening. Thank you everybody for being there. All these poems you find in the books. You can have them on your bookshelf or on your bedside table. Thank you for listening. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. God bless. And namaste. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Lots of love. Liam.